this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, please click that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. So anyway, now let's go make a card. Hello everybody! Today we are going to be making a Christmas card, of course, with Merry Snowflakes, the stamp set, and the die stitched snowflakes that go with it. So we're going to be doing some masking and some blending. So let's go ahead and get to it. This particular card, we're going to start out with a Balmy Blue card base, 5.5 by 4 1/4, of course. And we're going to also line that up with a Pacific point. And the Pacific point is going to be cut 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And go ahead and you can snail that up and put it in the middle, just like so. Once you have that one on, we're going to jump to the inside. And with Christmas cards, I'm going to put sentiments in them. All my other cards, I'm kind of leaving the inside sentiment off because nothing's worse than trying to find a card for someone last minute and then the sentiment inside kind of kills it. So, but Christmas cards are a little different as long as they're generic. So on the inside, we're also going to take a piece of Pacific Point, and this is cut 5 1/4 by 4. And we're going to layer that up just like so. Now, the reason why I jumped to the inside as well, because this piece, the Shimmery White here and the Shimmery White here, we'll do at the same time because it's the same kind of blending. Now we're going to have two sizes of Shimmery White. The larger one is 5 1/4 by 4, and that will go on the front. And the smaller one is 5 by 3.75. Now, you don't have to frantically write down all these dimensions because they're in the description of my video. So go to the title where it says show more and click on that, and it'll bring up all my dimensions. It'll bring up everything I use to do the card. So you don't have to, sit there and frantically write it down. So let's go ahead and start blending. Actually, the one step before blending is, and this is what I use the dies for, these are actually masked off die cuts. So I'm going to grab these 4 largest snowflakes, not the ones with the border around them, these 4 here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them out on copy paper. Do not use Stampin' Up! Paper. Stampin' Up! Paper is meant to be folded and it's quality paper. You want to use the cheap copy paper because when you make a mask, and I've already done this obviously, and this is on white copy paper, I just used it on this card, you want it to have no halo around it. So when you use copy paper, it'll give this nice effect here. So make sure when you cut this out, you use regular copy paper. And of course, I've already done that because I've made this card. So here are my masks, and like I said, they were originally white, but I used them, of course. So let's put this to the side and let's get out our silicone craft sheet. If you don't have a silicone craft sheet, you might want to consider getting one. And oh, by the way, I do give away the demo card. So if you're a first-time subscriber, like and subscribe. Put a comment in the email, hey, I'd like to win the demo card, and you got to put your email address. Sometimes I can't get a hold of you. So go ahead and do that. And I also know that most of my subscribers are demonstrators, so you can win a demo card. That is perfectly fine with me. So like, subscribe, and get a demo card. You can also use my cards to case. So if you've got a card class or whatever, go ahead and use my cards. The more the merrier. That's what the internet's for. So I've got these 4 cut out die cuts from copy paper, and then I'm going to grab the Tombow that's in the teal case, not the pink one, not the other one, the teal case, the green case, because this one is great for masking. And if you've watched my videos before, I say this over and over again, this is great for masking. Now with something that's this detailed like a snowflake, okay, you're going to get, when you use snail, you're going to get a lot of little web connections here. So after you snail it on the most solid end you can, you're going to take your pick tool and just get rid of those webs, because you want to make sure that ink gets in between. So I'm going to sit here for a second and take out the webs here, and I'll be right back. So I got the webs off of this die cut here, and I'm going to put it, and this is the big one, so I'm going to just put that right there, and then I'm going to do the rest of them. So I'm going to try to grab the biggest point on the snowflake, use that snail, that particular masking snail, and then get rid of the web. So I'm going to do this on the other 3, and I will be back. So I've got all my masks down, and you might even want to take your pick tool, and if you see any webbings, just kind of scrape at it, make sure that those are clear, especially in the mask here that has the little holes in the tips here. So all the masking or all the webbings out of the way. Now we're going to do some blending. Now we're going to do both of these at the same time. So let's put that one to the side for a moment. And we're going to grab 3 blending brushes. And these are, like I said, all the items that I use in the card are listed in the description of my video. And these are one of them. There's also a little link. So if you wanted to place an order, just click on the link. You go directly to my Stampin' Up site. So all right, we're going to take 3 colors. We're going to use Balmy Blue, Pacific Point, and Fresh Frieza. And we're going to start with the Balmy Blue. And how you blend, if you haven't done this before, and I'm sure lots of people have done this, is you tap on it, and depending on how inked up your stamp is how much you're going to stamp it on there. I just refilled this one, so it's a little dark, so I probably did a little too much. So I'm going to stamp it off on my scratch paper. Make sure you take a piece of scratch paper, stamp it off here, and circle inward. Now, dealing with the mass, that snail is, the reason why you don't use this to put down anything is because it's pretty crummy. But it's great for masking because it doesn't stick all that well. But because it doesn't stick all that well, you do need to make sure that it doesn't move while you're making your little circles here, so be careful. So just either put a finger on it, or just do it very softly. And you might want to grab a Post-it note at this time, because we are going to be going over some inked spots as we move along. So let's go ahead and get some more ink here. I'm going to push these back a little bit so I have a little more room, and I'm going to turn, stamp off, and circle in. Now if I didn't circle in, if I just went straight to the paper, I'm going to leave a big splotch like one of these. So don't do that. So circle in right after you get your brush all inked up. And I want to make sure that I'm getting inside of the snowflake here too. So keep going like that. And how dark you want it is up to you. So just do how much you want. So, and I do want to cover the whole thing. I don't want to leave too many white spots. Okay. And then I'm going to grab the Fresh Frieza. Now this one, for whatever reason, isn't very inked up, even though I haven't used the Fresh Frieza all that much, I thought. So I can push a little harder here. You still want to circle in because you can still make a splotch. And you want to get some of that pink in there. Okay. And I try not to ink my stamps right before I do any kind of blending, because you can over ink, and then boy, then it just really changes the color. So I'm going to keep doing some pink spots. And then the next color we're going to use is Pacific Point. And you got to be really careful with Pacific Point because it's definitely dark. So just kind of go in lightly in your circles and get it to however you like it. It's your card. So a little bit more, I think. Okay. Kind of take a look-see at it, see what you like. Okay, now, and I did want to make this point, and I forgot to mention it. We are going to be putting the sentiment tag, and when you laid out your snowflakes, you do want to leave this space for your sentiment. So I did leave a gap here on purpose, so this will be covered up. So just sorry about that. Keep aware you need to put a sentiment tag on there. So I think I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more fresh freezer. Get a little bit more pink in there over that dark blue. Okay, and now grab that other sheet for the inside and do it at the same time, because you've got everything out. You might as well do two at once, right? So, of course, go in with the Balmy Blue. Add a lot of ink on this one. And then the Fresh Freezer. Yeah, I don't know. I need to re-ink my Fresh Freezer here. And it's a kind of a light color anyway. Whoopsie. So you kind of want to avoid doing that. And you know, if you get a spot where it's like, I just don't like it, you know what you do? Turn it over. So I don't like it, so I'm gonna turn it over. And that's okay. You could do that. No one will ever see it, right? What do you do to mistakes? You either turn it over or put an embellishment over it or sentiment. Yeah, that's how you do that. And then Fresh Freezer. Blend this in. And then, of course, your Pacific Point. Make sure you stamp that off and go in light, because it is a dark color. Light, 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 light. You don't want to overpower it. And then you might want to go back with the Fresh Freezer. I'm beating my stamping pad here. It's like ink, 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 ink. All right, that's good enough. So that's how you do the blending. Okay, well, let's jump to the inside of the card. I did something kind of cool, and I've been kind of doing a lot more on the insides of my cards because I think that's cool. There is a die here that has an outline. There's 3 sizes of them. Get the medium one and tape it. Put it in the middle and tape it. And then take your inside piece and tape it inside here and die cut it real quick. So when you die cut it, you're going to get this. So we're going to put this to the side, and then you're going to grab a piece of silver foil, and you're going to grab the die that has these little holes in the top here. So this die right here, and die cut that in silver foil, and then put that one to the side. And now let's stamp the sentiment. I've got the sentiment here, of course, from Merry Snowflakes, and we're going to stamp that in Pacific Point. And this is not a clear stamp, so you don't need your stamping pad. And I do, when I get a new stamp set, I test it out first how it does without a stamping pad, and if it doesn't do very well, then I'll use my stamping pad. Sometimes you'll see me do that with even these clear stamps. Also, if you use it over and over again, like you're making a lot of cards all at once, you might want to, in between, go and take and clean this off. Take your chamois and just wipe it off, because this, as it builds up, it will affect the stamp. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back. I've cleaned off my stamp, and what happens when you get that ink right here is that you're pushing too hard. And I'm consistently always somebody who pushes down hard. I write really heavy, so you really want to try to avoid getting it on here. I got a little bit on there, but I know not to rock it. So when I put it on my card, I'm going to put it in the middle and gently push on it. Don't rock it. Of course, you can get those little halos, and there we go. Now we got all our pieces. All we need to do is, of course, nail it up and put it in the middle. And with that snowflake, the piece that was cut out, we're going to snail that up as well. Use my silicone craft sheet so my glass stays nice and clean. And I'm going to fit it inside here. I almost left it like that, and I went, it kind of looks like a flower. So I grabbed some, that's why we're putting the silver snowflake on top. and it'll look like that. So that's the inside of the card. Now let's do the front. Now we need to make our sentiment tag, and I used stitch rectangle frames. I'm using the second smallest of the longer ones, and of course in Shimmery White. We've been using Shimmery White the whole time. So I cut that out, and now I need to stamp it, and I'm going to be using Merry Everything from here. And we're going to take Pacific Point. I cleaned off my stamp in between, and let's go ahead and stamp it. And the thing about this particular tag is that it literally perfectly fits. And I'm going to stick my head in the camera. I apologize. Hold on one second. And I know that my tag on the actual stamp is a little crooked, so I have to kind of compensate for that if you happen to put on the sticker on poorly. And there we go. You're not done with the tag yet. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a dauber and use Balmy Blue and Fresh Freesia, and we're going to etch it, because I thought just having the white tag didn't look right. Now I'm not going to use the Pacific Point on this because it's just a little too dark, and that's what we use to stamp the sentiment itself. So there is the Balmy Blue. And now I'm going to grab the Fresh Freesia and just give it that little bit of pink so it matches the blending. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. All right, let's get this puppy together. So let's take off the mask that we made here, and it'll look like this. And the only little bit of residue that the tape might have left, you can just literally rub it off with your finger like that. And then I went in between the takes here. I went ahead and put all my dimensionals on here, and I laid it on my silicone craft sheet. Because why? Because it won't stick. So I'm going to put this right here like so. And then I've already dimensionaled the tag, and I'm going to put the tag right here. And then I'm going to use the blue adhesive back gems and just gem it up. So I'm going to put one here, and one here, one on the tag. And that's the card. Like I said, I do give away the demo card. So if you're a first-time subscriber, like, subscribe, put something in the comment, hey, I want to win the demo card, and leave your email so I can get a hold of you, and I'll stick it in the mail. But that will do it for me. Thanks. Bye.